Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City Council meeting this Monday night, February the 4th, 2019 at 7:06 p.m. Ms. Derry, would you call the roll, please?
Stacy Jones.
Here.
Rob Powell.
Here.
David Daniel.
Here.
Tim Terry.
Here.
Lex Terry.
Here.
There's a quorum.
Thank you. If you would please rise, at this time we will have our prayer and pledge of allegiance. Our prayer tonight is led by Ms. Dana Taylor, our chaplain at the local ASW, and our pledge will be by Chief Will Dawson. I would ask also tonight that we remember the Kristen Wheeler family. J.R. Wheeler's wife passed away this afternoon at 3:30, so remember that family, we greatly appreciate it.
Please bow your head. Dear Lord Jesus, thank you so much for the gift of life and the opportunity to serve the people of our city. Help us to act with character and conviction. Help us to listen with understanding and goodwill. Help us to speak with charity and restraint. Give us a spirit of service. Remind us that we are stewards of your authority. Guide us to be the leaders of your people. Help us to see the humanity and dignity of those who disagree with us and to treat all persons, no matter how weak or poor, with the reverence of your creation. And finally, Lord, renew us with the strength of your presence and the joy of helping to build a community worthy of each person. We ask this as your sons and daughters, confident in your goodness and love. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you, Ms. Tanya. At this time, I would ask the council not had an opportunity to look at the minutes for the January 7th council meeting and the January 9th special call council meeting. I move we approve minutes.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Powell.
Yes.
David Daniel.
Yes.
Tim Terry.
Yes.
Lex Terry.
Thank you. Thank you. I've got my recognitions and acknowledgements tonight, so we don't have anything officially on the agenda. We want to mention Mr. Steve Raddery, who's obviously not here tonight, but he has informed me he has not gone anywhere, he's not moved, and he's certainly, to quote him, he's not dead, unquote. But Mr. Raddery has stepped down as our chairman of the Water Wastewater Commission, and kind of did a little certificate for him at the commission meeting to honor him and thank him for his, I'm guessing, about 11 to 12, 13 years of service, volunteer service. Steve not only served as chairman of the Water Wastewater, but chaired he was on the Parks Committee long ago. He served as the chairman of the Water, of the Parks Committee and Commission, Planning Commission chair also. So Steve is always there to help. I'm sure he'll still be around to do that, but we want to recognize him. Again, I said we'll probably never get him to another council meeting, but he might. But anyway, I want to acknowledge him if you see him on the street or wherever you see him. I thank him for his volunteerism. Committee reports. Sebastian County Boys and Girls Club, I know has a written report. Mr. Sunday is here. Yes, sir.
I wanted to stop by and tell every one of y'all thank you for continuing supporting us. It means a lot. I'm almost done with my 15th year of basketball, and we've seen a lot of changes out there. We've tried to listen to the community and meet their needs. If you look on some of this, we've never had soccer in the spring, so we're doing it now. We put the word out, and we might even have more people playing soccer during the spring than we do in the fall. So we're really excited about that. We've listened to the parents going all the way through, and I know some of y'all have been through with them, coming through, and we keep hearing there's nothing between the 5th and 8th grade for these kids to do. They can't try, but yet they want to do something. So this is going to be our second 5th through 8th grade community dance, and we'll have plenty of chaperones out there. Like we did last time, we got Mr. Perry DJing it. He's a local school teacher, does an outstanding job. And so we're trying to meet that need for our kids. And we've heard a lot from parents that talk about leaving their kids at home when they get up and go to work and hope that that second grader gets on the bus. Next August, we're going to start an after-school program where they can drop their kids off. We're going to have little bananas and that kind of snack, have them where the bus can pick them up and everything, to try to meet that. Again, the biggest reason I want to stop by is just tell y'all thank you very much. Because without y'all, it wouldn't be happening out there. So we really appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions on the report? You see, we got total of 15 tournaments we're putting on this year. So we're going to be bringing a lot of people in.
You got your budget to build a hotel out there?
You got water on this one? Or sewage, we got the water, but we need the sewage. But yeah, we're hoping to really get it. I had a couple of board members who stood up and invested $10,000 of their own money to re-roof the buildings, like down in the ball field, have them all repainted, put a little privacy fence around our maintenance shed, and we're trying to really make it look really nice. We got 40 D-Now kids coming out this weekend to work. We really appreciate that too. So, you know, we're really going.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
How many years?
It'd be a little over 14. This is my 15th basketball season.
Bless your heart.
And you can have basketball back.
I'm speaking from experience. Bless your heart. Appreciate what you do. SRCA, I know there's a written in there from Miss Lisa. Also have a card, thank you, from the folks over at the center. And basically it says thanks for all you do. Thank you. I know we recently replaced an air unit over there, so they would be warm and cool, I suppose. So that's to the council. If you have any questions on that report, be sure to let us know. And we'll relate those to Lisa. Parks Commission, Goldstein is here. Did you want to speak?
Any questions?
That's easy. Thanks, sir. Water Wastewater Commission, or John Bailey is, I don't know, you're officially acting chairman? Okay.
Interim, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
As Mayor mentioned, Steve is designed to pursue other opportunities, and due to that empty seat, we'll be seeking a new member to the commission. Basically, if we have one person not show up, we don't have a quorum, so we need to get that filled relatively soon, and the interim I'll be serving as chairman. We're looking at raising a few fees. Most fee increases will be relatively minor, with one, maybe two exceptions. We're looking at creating a 25% surcharge for sewer customers located outside the city limits of Greenwood. And I was also told to include this one, that currently you pay late, we have a 10% late fee. We only charge it on the water portion of the bill. We're going to make that the whole entire bill. That's what most places do. And a few other minor fees. I think some tap fees are going to go up. We charge a radically different amount for different tap fees. We want to make that more similar. Maybe some differences still, but won't be. So you'll pay a lot less than other people. We'll get it more equalized. We received an offer from Jamesport to sell us the water service rights for 35.96 acres at the intersection of Highway 71 and 10 Spur. Majority of that 35.96 acres is owned by Jacob Burton, with two other small parcels included. And they're wanting $2,200 an acre, $79,112. Just to give you a feel, City of Fort Smith paid $203 an acre. If you add inflation rate, what Jamesport is going up on their fees, their water selling fees since then, it'd be about $206 an acre. So we'll have to pay 8 to 9 times what Fort Smith paid. And we have not discussed this at the Water Commission. I wanted to bring it here first and get y'all's input. It'll set the tone for what we'll be paying for in the future, I believe. And we want to pay this high amount, or we want to decline. I'm interested in knowing what y'all's opinion is. Okay. Any different? Okay. That was my opinion. I've not discussed it with the rest of the Water Commission, but we will we will let them know. We've also received our audit report of our financial statements. We received an unqualified, which is a good opinion, saying they were accurate. But one problem is identified our last bond issue that we took to make the new water towers. They were secured by our revenues from our water, wastewater revenues. And we're at 102% coverage. Should be above 110 according to some people, but that doesn't take into account our city sales use tax that we pay the principal with. And it's been suggested that may be a problem for us coming in the future. And our last resort curing that problem will be a rate increase on sewer. First, I'm going to contact our bond salesman because he said it wasn't a problem. He told us I'm going to his firm, and I'll hit him up. And the next thing, I'll go to our accountant. I got a plan, not work around it maybe. So that's our last resort will be raising sewer fees. Do you have any questions?
Yes, John, how much water are we buying from James Fork a month?
500,000 gallons a day, so it's about, 15 million gallons a month on average. Varies by how many days in the month a little bit. We paid them a little over $250,000 a year. We made our offer to them, we put that in the cover letter, that we're your largest customer. And they still, we also lost a subdivision here recently over trihalomethanes and storage tanks. We hadn't had a trihalomethanes problem with the water we produce in over 5 years. James Fork had one 2 years ago or so. So we don't know if the fact we bought 5 water from James Fork helped lose our subdivision. Maybe. I'm going at some point in the next few months contact the state, discuss this with them, get more, because we can't build water towers, we can't grow. I mean, it's limited sectors, we can't. And I can't believe they don't have anyone to build water towers. 10 years ago, that water tower that was denied this time was approved, very same water tower. Now 10 years later, it's a problem. And the only 2 things I know have changed has been Flint, Michigan, and we buy water from James Fork. Those are the only 2 things I know have changed. So I'll be contacting the state health department and trying to find out more about what was our problem, what changed in the last 2 years. Anything else?
Yeah, let me ask you this. Let's say hypothetically some business wants to come out there and develop in this Burton land we're talking about. It's not in the city limits, correct?
Correct, it's correct.
And so let's just say they go to Jacob and say, we want to buy this acreage here and put us a little strip mall and a little hotel there or whatever. So they're going to ask him if he's got water and sewer on that property, I guess?
Probably, I mean, if they had half a brain, they want to make sure there's water and sewer for her, they want to do.
Right. And so they're not, and he's going to say, well, I've got some James Fork, they got a 2-inch line coming to here.
3 inch across the
3 inch.
highway, which is not, they have 45 customers with 3 inches, is not enough.
Right.
Certain times of the day, I mean, midnight to in the morning, they have plenty of pressure, but, 7:30 or so in the morning, most Monday to Friday, probably a little short on pressure.
So the entity is going to say, I know this is a hot location. Are they going to try to call down there and say, y'all going to get us a bigger line here or what?
Basically, they can't service much now with their existing line. They could require, like we require a developer to run lines or put a tank in. They could require the developer, if they won't provide the service, to put a new line there in 71. We looked at that going toward the Boys Club and other places, just a what if, and ballpark $100,000. They put a small line out there, a tad less than that. So, I mean, yeah, it's all a matter of money. I mean, we have that big tall white tank, down to the spur. They have that shorter tank. They'll never get as much pressure as we can give them off that white tank though. I mean, we're just higher up.
Right.
Even running a line, would they have enough to provide fire protection?
Probably would if they ran a big enough line. I'm not sure how, that's on
Depends on the big one.
that short tank is not very high, but it's on a little hill, not a big hill, little hill. And I don't know, 100, 150 feet higher than that location, I guess. And that'd give you 2.3 PSI, 2.3 feet per 1 PSI. You're talking about 60, 70 PSI, maybe. Don't count that's ball, that's, back on head. But, yeah, so that might be minimally enough. They're a bigger line.
Again, at the same time that, the locals come to them, I mean, they'd actually be coming to us, about sewer. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we'd be in the loop, I guess, as far as the conversation.
Yeah, and, we went out and tried negotiating with them, and I brought up, they need our sewer as much or more they need your water or equally. And their answer, well, we've been looking at getting the sewer business, which was BS. I mean, it probably cost $5 million to put a sewer plant in, and they'd have to have that, so that was BS. But, yeah, they need three things: water, wastewater. They need sewer, they need drinking water, they need fire protection. Greenwood provides two of those three, Jamesport provides one. Greenwood provides all three of them, Jamesport provides one.
So we want to grow, and their offer that's 10 times what they charge Fort Smith to us for the water rights is outrageous and it's ludicrous. So what's our next step? Where do we go from here?
I may go try to talk to them. I don't think I'll have no success, but we did ourselves a great disservice about 2 years ago. We went out there and told them all the great things we did. I didn't realize it going out there was going to be a problem. That some of their board members just saw a dollar sign. Well, Greenwood's going to make all this money, so we should get some of that. Well, not really, in my opinion, but they think so, some of them. So I may go out and try to reason with them. We might throw out a lesser value property and try to get it for closer to 256 and buy a larger area somewhere else that's not so valuable. But if we pay $200 an acre in the first get-go, they'll be exploring us from now on. That's
From
my
now on,
plan.
that's what it's going to start at.
So, I mean, I'm looking at, I haven't talked to Damon Sadler, and I'll do that before I look at buying some of Damon Sadler's area for 256 an acre, plus that for 256 acre, or might be a little more 256, but close to that, to see if we can work something out, what we're trying to do.
We're their largest customer by how much? Just,
I don't know,
they have a customer even close to us.
City of Walden, the City of Walden's like us, they don't provide all water to water, they provide part. Water population, I think, is less than 4,000. I don't know how many customers we have outside city limits or how many customers inside. So we probably, and Walden pays the exact same amount, $1.46 per thousand as we do. I'm told that every municipal customer pays the same price. So we probably, I guess, twice what Walden pays them, maybe more, maybe less, but probably less. We probably pay more than twice what Walden.
But, so they charge every municipality the same amount as far as water, but when it comes to selling water rights, they
They've only done it once before, with City of Fort Smith. The City of Fort Smith is not their customer. That is a difference. They spent in 10.5 or 10.6 miles of line down south of Y City going down, was it 70 or 270 down toward Lake Washita for 76 customers. They borrowed $6,989 per customer. They're losing money on that. They want us to pay, make up for their shortfall, And that's going to be brought up to them, but why don't Scott County pay for half of this if we're paying for their water? I mean, but I don't know. We'll see what we can do. But we're not. I was not personally wanting to pay them that much money. But we'll see if we can buy a lesser thing and negotiate with them and get something closer to the original price. And if we do, we may give Mr. Burton like 3 months to get his property size city limits. I mean, we're going to buy this and we'll write. I think Dave Sadler's plan is already in city limits. We'll pay that up front. We'll give Jamesport 3 months. We'll hold off on paying the other. And Mr. Burton got 3 months to get in, or we go in that direction.
So we hit the end of the road as far as going around this water rights issue. We went through this a few years back when we went through the whole annexation deal about what actually are water rights, and I know it's a big debate. It's vague in the state
It is
law.
vague. There's no deed saying this is your area.
Right,
They paid nothing for the area.
right.
The concept, what I understand, is if they've invested money to put lines in, they have a right to be made whole. Problem is, their line's maxed out in that area. They have no more extra capacity. They're made whole because they're selling every bit of water they can sell between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning. But, you have to convince them of that, But we'll see.
I visited for about 4 hours with Jerry Canfield, who negotiated the City of Fort Smith agreement. That's why I provided the Water
Yeah.
Commission with that information.
And we appreciate that. It was helpful.
And he said it was a nightmare dealing with them to just get where they were. And it was the most complicated formula that he he's older than I am, but he said we're having to come up with as far as the calculations are concerned, but, yeah, that's a sticky week for sure.
Yeah.
Couple of things, John, again, remind me, I've got it written down somewhere, what was the date on that negotiation with Force?
It's 2010.
10,
Yeah.
and,
It was mainly residential, wasn't it, where they went?
Right, there's some, yeah.
and we have not, to my understanding, I've been to those meetings with you except for one, I think, and witnessed those meetings.
We've been to two. You went to the first one, I went to
Yeah,
the second one.
yeah, and they're not all that, I mean, you can sit in there and tell pretty quick that the board is somewhat split, I think. I mean, there's a couple of folks on there that are cheerleaders, and then there's a couple that aren't. I'm not saying they spoke out against Greenwood, but they didn't speak at all, which I think is kind of pointed in that direction. But we have not countered their counter.
No.
Is that correct?
I called, here's another thing. The offer was not signed by anyone, the head of the chairman of the board, or Donnie Sanford, who's it was signed by their consultant. So it's like we did Hawkins Weir sign this for the city of Greenwood. It's weird. So I contacted Donnie, called him and told him, Donnie's receipt, told me they didn't know after I talked to city council. I called their consultant to let him know. And so they're expecting the answer for 2 days.
I'd like to entertain you, and you've already said it, you're going to go back and try to talk to him some more. I think it's due some more conversations with them. I think they shot the highest price they could come up with as, obviously, and see if we bite on it, just because they believe we need it real bad. And I think we do need it to grow, and there's huge things to happen out there, but at that cost, it's kind of, I think you used the word ludicrous, so it's pretty crazy, but,
I calculated how much it would cost us to buy everything we're gonna buy over the next, it cost $6 million.
yeah, all the rights to, yeah.
Yeah.
And on the note of, this is kind of spurring off a little bit, on the note with Mr. Burton out there, I had recently had a meeting, I had got Mr. Burton and Mr. Johnson in my office for those two guys to discuss. Jacob has said to me many times that one of his concerns, and he's a one-man show, and I think most of us can appreciate that out there, his concern was the taxes, that he would have to increase the taxes when he comes in. And Mr. Johnson spelled that out for him, not specific details, but gave him a pretty good idea. And it is a huge increase, because he's basically living on farmland, and when you plat it, it becomes city limits. The question Mr. Burton did have to me to pass on to the council, and I said, I don't see a reason why we couldn't, or maybe a legal issue, I don't know, if he were to, when he does decide to plat, because obviously he's not coming to the city, he wants to, he knows he needs to make that sellable out there for him. His question was, can he annex a plot or a lot at a time, if you will, contiguous. It has to be contiguous, and I think that's a fair question. And the answer is yes. I told him I thought it could be, so that's it.
That's y'all's business,
No,
not.
I just put, but it
But I'm
can't.
sure that when we negotiated with 12 or 14 purchases from Jamesport, it's been a royal pain in the butt for one. And so, but that's y'all's business.
No, yeah, it would be. I'm talking about he sells to these hopefully hotels or whoever they are. So anyway, that's sideboard. But yes, the answer is yes, you can do that.
I'll clarify, on number 4 of your report,
Right.
it states that our principal payments of bond are paid out of city sales and use tax. That is not true. It is very well spoken in our bond covenants, we are forbidden to do that. So let's not portray that we do that, because we are not supposed to.
Say it
We
with
are
water
not paying
systems
that
revenues,
that way.
and it even indicates in the security of the bonds.
Right.
that
I
we
saw
can-
the bond agreement, but I also remember what that salesman said when he came in.
Doesn't
We
matter
don't
what it
care,
says.
we don't care about how we pay it, in his mouth. Maybe
Okay,
what's in
that-
writing.
It doesn't matter, it's what we signed in this
Yes.
document right here,
And being a
and how the
trustee,
covenant is
I have to
calculated.
Yeah.
You can, it says right in here, you can supplement your water system sewer rates with city sales and use tax. That is at your whim, but that is not a condition upon this bond. It goes on to say the sales and use tax proceeds are not pledged as security for the bonds.
That's what, as long as it's not pledged, that doesn't mean we can't, that doesn't say
You
we
can,
can't.
We
pay it.
don't.
but it is not collateral to this
I
bond.
understand that, doesn't mean collateral and payment's two separate things.
what, I can tell you right now that the water systems revenue is what pays those bonds. It is what's collateralized to those bonds. City sales and use tax, you can choose to fund or supplement if you want, or you can choose to put it into, it even goes on and says right here, the sales tax is limited to use in providing for operating, maintaining, and improving the system, retiring bonds. You can retire the bonds with the city sales and use tax if you want, but you're not obligated to do it. What obligates this bond and collateralizes this bond is the water system's revenues. That's why the 110% was not met. Now, you can go and talk to him about what he intended, but I know what he signed, and I know exactly what the auditors are saying in their audit report. So
I just want to make sure that it is definitely known that we do not pay those payments out of city
Okay.
sales.
and we actually
It is
pay what
forbidden.
water systems revenue.
Okay.
That's all I want to know.
Yeah, like I said,
Our water agreement with James Ford, when does it come up?
we got that 11 more years ago.
11 more years?
Yeah, it was a 20-year deal. We entered it in the same year they did it in Fort Smith, 2010. So we got to 2030.
In that, did we allow for them for increases from time to time?
Yeah, there was some mentioning of rate increases, and there was one thing that said, I know what was intended, but it was poorly written in the contract. It said that for the first 3 years, they couldn't have a rate increase until the project was finished and the permanent financing was done. I think Daniel will remember that to be the lake. I mean, I don't think, but they haven't even started. They started some administrative permits, they hadn't done the lake. So the next year they did a rate increase without the lake being even started. Then, anytime they do a rate increase, they have to contact the mayor. They had a second rate increase in 2014. And the mayor says they no one contacted him. The first rate increase, Mayor Gabbard's in office, so we don't know if he was contacted or not. But 2014, Mayor Kinsler said he was not contacted. So we think both their rate increases were in violation of the contract. I'm not a lawyer, that's my opinion.
The rate increases that they've given us, they're also given to other existing customers.
Right, they do give everyone the same deal. They don't have to get our approval, they just have to contact the mayor ahead of time and say that, he can protest all he wants to, it doesn't do any good, they just have to contact
I
him.
think it says inform or something.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. We are at the citizen forum section of the agenda tonight. We failed.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Before we move on.
Yes, sir.
Talk about being contacted before they rate. Does it say in our contract whether it's by phone, certified letter?
Does not
I
say.
don't think it says, I think it just
I
says,
mean, so how, what I'm saying, we don't have any proof of what.
if we did or didn't.
Right.
Or-
So, I mean, it's something we need to take into consideration if we're gonna have that in there. It needs to be done by certified letter or something if they're gonna do it. So we at least have some proof that they know.
They may stand on top of their tower, face Greenwood, and get it to us.
That's my point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we need to look at that and see what's in there, because I don't think it spells it out very clear.
Well, we might have anything we do about it.
Yeah, can we alter it or anything after it's already been agreed?
No, I don't think you're gonna have a legal leg to stand on.
That's probably the sorry jerks on the council when that thing was signed.
We can exit the contract, but we gotta pay for the cost of the run the line to us. So, I mean, I don't know how much that would be, but, and we need a source of water.
Oh, I was one of those council members. So,
That's right. All right, anything else on that subject? If not, agenda addition, or I'm sorry, assistant forum, we did fail to get the sign-up sheet up front in the room this evening. So if anyone has anything they'd like to approach the council about at this time, you're free to do that. Just ask that you come to the podium, state your name and address, and you'd have 5 minutes to ask or state anything you've got. No takers? Going once, twice, 3 times? Okay. Old business is number 1, city attorney ordinance for 4, possession and handling of explosive materials, second reading. I'm sorry, I skipped right over agenda additions because I had one and I was scared to do it. Wow. All right, agenda additions. I got to quit putting little check marks by it because I'll check them. There is a number 7. It is I guess Tom will present it, or I will. It's the Fred Kinslow Memorial Fund.
It's a resolution setting up an account.
Asset account, yeah, thank you. Number 8, I believe, is Boys and Girls Club contract, Mr. Hamby.
It's actually an ordinance with contract.
Okay. And we have the other contracts, I guess we need to list those separate.
If you're gonna vote on them, yes.
Yeah, okay, so number 9 would be Area Agency on Aging contract. Also an ordinance, correct?
No.
No, okay, just a contract. And number 10 is the SRCA contract. The other agenda additions, department as we spoke today, nobody had any, so I'm assuming, so that's number 10. Okay. All right, thank you for catching that. Number 1, city attorney of the old business ordinance for possession and handling of explosive materials, second reading.
I met with Mr. Gladwin, and I apologize, I can't remember his name.
Dr. Rapp.
They were very informative and helpful, and provided me some additional information, some additional regulations that I've attached and incorporated into the ordinance. We were talking previously about a 500-foot radius. They noted that in the federal regulations, it's actually 1,000 foot, so I've modified those. I anticipate that the two of them and I will probably meet again between now and the next council meeting. We may have some more tweaks to the language that we have here, but they've been a huge asset in helping me to put this together, and I would ask that it just be put on reading by, second reading by title only.
I make a motion to put on second reading.
Second.
Motion is second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Ben?
Yes.
Shinton?
Yes.
Yes. An ordinance repealing ordinance number 00-01, providing standards for possession, storage, transporting, handling, and use of explosive material, establishing certain conditions relative to the detonation of explosive material, declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Thank you. Number 2 is police department resolution amending uniform personnel policy for vacation pay upon termination.
I think Captain Wilford sent over an initial resolution talking about paying all the vacation time, so put a time limit on it, but I told you I'd go back and research it, and I want to change that to 4 weeks being the max out if they leave or terminated.
All right. It says 9 is the amended section 1, officer shall be paid the full balance of any remaining vacation hours upon the end of their employment with the department. Which part of that do you want to change to 4 weeks?
Not the full amount changed, yeah, the full amount changed to 4 weeks,
Up to 4 weeks?
up to 4 weeks.
Now, we went through this here a while back, correct, with a couple guys that left and we paid, I'm not even talking about the chief, another, the ex-chief. We cut him a pretty healthy check. Well, there's another officer that left or something.
We paid their sick time.
That was sick time.
That was vacation. That was all sick.
Sick time is what.
And that's been resolved.
Yes.
Got vacation. The issue was sick, because of sick.
My dilemma here was we paid someone that left and we didn't actually have the policy on it. So the auditor said we should have went by the city policy, which is 2 weeks. So it said to fix that for future reference, I needed to change our policy to spell out what we would pay if someone were to leave.
So we've never paid in the past for the vacation hours before when somebody left, or you have?
We have. We just paid, I'm not sure who it was that left, but it was over the 2 weeks of the city policy because we didn't have it spelled out in our policy. That's what one of my findings was, is that we paid someone that left their full vacation time instead of the 2 week time that says it's in policy. And I'm not sure what's done in the past. or even before the 2 day, but that is.
I think we always did it. I mean, we've always paid the remaining vacation, but the reason why is that we didn't used to have it in ours, that vacation, I don't think. And yours didn't have it at all, so they reverted to ours.
Right.
So, police officers' vacation continues to accrue when they're, I mean, how,
Back to max.
is it max or?
Yeah, there's a max of, well, it can accrue if we don't make them take it, but, we try to stay on top. There's a couple people that are working on getting theirs down, but, I think overall, the 2 lieutenants do a good job of making sure that everyone takes the most part of their vacation before it rolls into next year. Of course, some of that tends to be a little higher on years that were short, but immediately in that next year, once we get full staff, we try to get that down.
Is that just another deal to try to keep guys on the force as opposed to a use it or lose it policy? Or is that state law?
It's not, the only law part is the amount that you give them each year, which that, I mean, that's why the 4-week period that I picked, I mean, that's kind of if someone were to leave after, they've been here over 10 years, and I think they probably deserve the 4 weeks that they've earned, but,
It's 120 hours, right?
hold on.
120 hours.
It starts out 120 hours.
And I don't think it's up to the max. We don't have a cap on it.
Right.
It just stays.
Then it goes up to 160 hours on reaching the 10th year. But I mean, I don't want to be maxed in case something happens. Obviously, I don't like the way that sounded, but they've earned the time. But at the same time, we've got to do our job of keeping them down to where they need to be, and that's what we work on each year.
So our suggestion here on this is add comma up to 4 weeks.
Yes.
Do you want to be specific and just do a number of hours? 160 hours, you want to say? Is that what it would be?
Yeah, because that could be interpreted.
Yeah, we don't want to have
For, yeah.
up to 160 hours.
Yes.
You're right too, though, there's no maximum vacation that they can
Accrue?
Yeah.
If they don't take it, there is no max out, no. We've never had an issue of it getting too high, because I think we do a good job of managing that. The guys, they may have a week or so that they usually carry over on patrol or in CID, but we try to stay on top of that. I think they do a good job of staying on top of it. And our policy actually says, especially on comp plan building up, that if they go over a certain amount, they have to get permission from me to stay out. And so overall, we manage the time, I think, well, and it's never been an issue in the past. We haven't paid out someone that's got like 10 weeks of vacation built up. And I think if we limit it to 4 weeks, I mean, there's no reason to build it up in case something happens and you do leave, you're losing all that time. Now, up until this point of not having that time, there was a reason to keep on backing that. So if you retire or leave, then you're getting a decent paycheck to leave. But if we put that 4-week cap on there, there's no reason why that would be an issue for them wanting to build it.
You make them guys take them a week at a time, or they take a single day vacation, or how?
They can take it however they want, as long as manpower-wise, we can cover the shifts.
I make a motion we adopt this resolution with the language added up to 160 hours.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Lance Terry? Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Jim Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you, Chief. Number 3 under the new business, 2017 legislative audit report. Mr. Tom?
Well, it's a good thing that you approved that, because that was our response to the state. I gave you in your packet the findings that they had. They had a supplemental finding for police, they had a supplemental finding for, several supplemental findings for the general operations, and then they had one reportable finding. So I'll start with the reportable finding. The reason you don't have the actual financials in front of you is They only have given them to us in draft form. They do not have the final actual audited financials to me yet. But we did respond. We had a quick turnaround back to them for the actual findings. The first one that you would look at, the audit, I would like to say that we were 180 degree different from the 2016 audit. They touted our successes that we had in correcting a lot of the issues that were there in the previous year. Remember, you're looking at an audit that was 2017's fiscal year now. 2016, I think it was more like 170% turnaround. We still have some things that we need to work on, but they're not major and they're not really that material. The one reportable finding was an uninsured, uncollateralized funds of $723,000 as of December 31st. We corrected that with the bank. We went ahead and had them increase the collateralization based on the amounts that are in our bank accounts now, and we monitor that every month. We get a report from the Farmers Bank, so we know exactly where we are, and we're not going to get into situations. Again, because I perform that every month, right after the bank recs are performed. One of the reasons it happened is right at the time you collapsed 40 accounts into just 8 funds, they forgot that the way collateralization works is it's all based on your tax ID number. So they didn't consider each of those individual accounts under different tax ID numbers. They all had $250,000 FDIC collateralization insurance given to you. When you collapse them into 8, they all went under one taxpayer ID. Therefore, we're now looking at $11 million in needing to be collateralized. So we've got that taken care of. So and that was resolved. As far as the other ones that are listed there, the ones that are supplemental, audit supplemental, and plan of corrections, a couple of them, we saw that as a result of what happened in 2016, number 2, which was the disaster recovery plan. We actually performed it and not performed. We gave them a disaster recovery plan. Now they want us to test it. Go figure. This year we're going to be having to test our disaster recovery to make sure that it works. We're working with DCR in order to do that because they're the ones that set that up for us. Rental property lease agreements, we needed to revise those as one of the findings. These are all very simple, simple little things that we need to do operationally throughout the year. Outstanding check items is one of the big things that we have to deal with. Your $1 checks, for instance, that are still sitting out in the payroll account. We got to get those cleaned up, and we got to get the accounts for all those old monies either reissued or turned over to lost property, basically unclaimed property for the state. So that is on our to-do list this year in 2019, to get all of 2018 and earlier clean.
I donate all my $1 to the parks.
And we give it to you, you can do what you want. I'm not sure we can just immediately move it over there.
Will you clarify that real fast? They may not know what happens when checks are not cashed. City
They stay on our bank recs until such time as we take them and we cut a check to the state. And that's that treasure hunt that you guys will get notices from the state saying, the state's holding money of yours, come get it, or the state's going to take it. You have a certain period of time once you're notified by them. But we turn it over to them if you, for instance, we issue a check as a refund to somebody that was rented the park, for instance, the pavilion at the park, and they don't cash that check. And we've made attempts to try to get it to them, and we turn it over to the state and say it's yours, and then it becomes.
It's a shame we can't just void it and keep our money.
Yeah, we can't keep it. We gotta turn it over to the state. And right now, there's quite a bit of money that is sitting there from 15 and 16 that we have to get cleaned up. So that's a this year project, and it is a lengthy project to do in 8 funds, obviously. Interfund liabilities, we're cleaning up. We've established a different routine for that to kind of isolate 2018 forward from the issues of 2017 and past. And now we're going back and cleaning up 2017. That is where general fund paid for street, paid for water, sewer bills, and never got reimbursed back from them, and vice versa. There were some bills that were paid that There's some funds that are due back from general to other funds, and we just got to get all those cleared up. One of the things I have to do is go back and make sure that the numbers that are there are valid numbers and not errors. So I have to analyze each one of those. It's not as simple as just cut a check. I wish it was. And then the city sales and use tax, water, sewer, that's where you made a resolution, you approved a resolution last year where we established the water sewer fund, a separate account. Before it was all in general, now it's separated, and it's a fund unto itself because it's restricted for water sewer and it's not going away. So they wanted it out of the general fund. And so we pretty much handled all of those. And then the last one, which was another minor one, it's the one you just voted on, which was the way to solve the problem that they had with 2 officers that were paid for more vacation hours when they terminated than what our policy in the city said, was for them to write a policy that they can live with and adhere to. And now they're going to be auditing against the police department's policy and not the city's policy, which you just ran over. So we're pretty much resolved in all of the issues for 2017's audit. It was very good.
Any questions? Comments?
I just want to thank goodness we got Tom. That's one of the reasons we got.
I was gonna do that, but I said I'm gonna stop doing it. It's really getting old. It is,
Not getting old.
no, it's not getting old. It is very nice, knowing that Tom's on our side, in our corner, and, working with him, watching him work with the officers and getting this stuff cleaned up. And as you can see, just the responses back to them are just what they're looking for. So, very nice, very good feeling. Okay. We'll move on to the next item is the 2017 water wastewater audit. And let's just say Tom's all that in bag of chips before you start.
This was very clean, as was mentioned, an unmodified and unqualified audit, which is a clean audit. You actually have the actual financials there. Page 3 of the financials on the asset side, I just want to point out that the reason that you're going to see a big drop in the cash bond reserves and construction fund between 2016 and 17 is because they substantially closed the construction progress for that water tower and then booked it as an asset. So the money has been, that's why you see a big reduction in the asset there under restricted assets. And then the other is the accumulated depreciation versus the actual value of our property and equipment. It's, in 2017, it was 31.8% of our assets are depreciated. 35% is where you start looking to tuck away money to start refurbishing and doing some additional accountability for your repairs and or replacements of items that are capital items. So they're getting real close. I think in 2018, we looked at it, it's about 34% now. 2019 will probably be a little bit more over 36. So they need to be tucking away some and planning for future replacement and repairs in their water system. That's the threshold that's used generally. It's a standard, and that's how it's calculated. See what else did I want? Page 11 of it, the report actually shows you the bonds, and it shows what the interest rates are, what your balance as of 2017 was. 2018, we had a principal reduction of $207,000 on the sewer bond. Its bond will mature April 15th of 2022. That's a key number, and I'll tell you why in a second when we get to the calculation for the bond covenant. The next page, note 3, which is page 12 of that water sewer audit, talks about the long-term debt. And in the first line, it says the fund was in substantial compliance with all bond covenant requirements. And the reason it says substantial is and not in compliance is because we were between 100% and 110. Which means you had more than what your revenue source or stream was in order to cover debt covenants. but you did not have what the actual covenant that you agreed upon was, you would be in non-compliance if it was less than 100% and your in compliance greater than 110. So that word was a little bit troublesome to us in the sense that it will catch the eye of the bond, or would we actually send the actual report to the bond company. But one of the things that I did is if you go to the last, it's not the last page of the audit, there's a separate handout for you. It's a letter that was provided to the mayor from the auditors. It says to the mayor and city council. And that's the one I gave you the actual real copy of. It's not dated at the top, but on the first page down below it says segregation of duties. If you were to turn the page, you would see it talks about accounts receivable, meter deposit payable, and required debt service coverage. And there are two letters there. It's the last one, I think is the one you're going to want to look at. Under the bold caption, required debt service coverage, it says, per the official statement of the 2016 bonds, the funds agreed to maintain at least 110% coverage of the debt service requirement for each fiscal year. The fund had a shortage of around $30,000. Now, that did not go to the bond company. That was a letter just to us and you. But I did want to show you the calculation. So I think behind that, I stapled to it, or you have the actual calculation of how the bond covenant shortage was reached. The last page of your audit report, particular, shows the operating revenues. We add back interest, then you take your operating expenses, and you'll notice that produced a water sewer loss of $205,000. And that's just from your revenues you brought in from your bills from the utilities. And then your operating loss is basically from the extraction of your operating expense, which is your salaries, your supplies, just basically to operate your department. You have to add back depreciation because that's a non-cash item. So if you did that, you've got income available for debt of $372,000. Your current debt service, which I calculated below, the water bond is $143,000 in 2017. The sewer bond was $220,000. So that's $263,000, and you can see we're only 102% at the $372,000 covering that. You're short by $28,000.
I've got a question for you. On the sewer bond, we are paying, starting this year, paying the principal out of city sales.
No, you're not. What you're doing is you're transferring money from the city sales and use tax to supplement the losses that are being incurred from the operations. And you have a right to do that, but it does not cover this bond. It does not
cover the water tower bond.
It's semantics. What you're doing is you're saying we're covering a loss that we may incur in our water system's revenues.
So it will not affect the calculation.
But it does not affect this calculation. The money that's transferred in is a below-the-line calculation. It comes in below the operating loss or the operating income. So you can supplement it all you want, but it's not a guarantee. It's not collateralized to this bond. So it comes off of that. This is the official calculation that you see right here that I gave them. And what the bond, I even gave you off to the right, what the rate covenant says. It says, note, if the city fails to comply with such covenants in any fiscal year, it will undertake a study of the rate revisions necessary to be again in compliance with such covenants. So all they're really asking us to do now that we're between 100 and 110% is take a look at it, be aware of it, and start planning for what you're going to do as far as rate increases so you don't get into a situation where your revenues are not satisfactorily covering the bond based on what because you can't go in the red. So you're going to have to either raise rates, lower your operating expense, a combination of both. They're already taking into consideration increasing rates right now, but not necessarily all in water or sewer. They're tweaking rates like the surcharges, anything that would come into revenue in the water sewer side. So you're only looking at making up a deficit of $28,000 right now, but you got to realize that you're increasing your expenses with your salaries going up. Your revenue is staying somewhat flat unless you grow the city pretty quick. But in 2022, that 220,000 debt service goes away, so you're only looking at a water deficit, or debt service of 143,000, so your covenants are gonna be covered. That covenant's in the other bond too. So you're okay in 2022 when the bond retired. So you just have a gap right now, and maybe you gotta think about, you don't wanna over increase rates. So we're looking at it, we're discussing it, and I'm working with the, as you know, with the Water Sewer Commission to not necessarily go overboard on trying to do a 10-year plan of not having a rate increase again and get it all now.
The Water Sewer Commission's seen all this?
Yes.
Yes.
This is,
Y'all are working on it, okay.
But when you said, any money's transferred over from, the county sales and use tax, it's not reflected on this last page at all. Never will be.
no. As a matter of fact, you can even see that because it says income available for debt. It's the income that comes in, that debt service isn't considered in that at all. And as far as the rate covenant is concerned, where it talks about, it says, the bonds are not general obligations of the city, but are special limited obligations of the city secured by a pledge of the revenues of the water, sewer, utility system, the revenues. And then it goes on and says that the city has been utilizing proceeds to supplement water sewer rates, not to pay the bond. You can actually bolster your revenues and your profitability in your water system by using city sales, but that's not a guarantee. If tomorrow the Water Commission wanted to use that to build a new water tank or a new sewer plant, they can do it and take that away because it's not pledged to this bond. So there's nothing stopping the Water Commission or you guys from doing it. Therefore, it cannot be used in order to supplement or collateralize the bond. So, I have the bond right here. So. But it was a good audit. It really was. Went pretty smooth. Just some things we needed to know.
One thing earlier you said, I think maybe it was on page 3, you said there was a difference in the total restricted assets, because the water tower was moved over to an asset.
Yes.
Well, would that be reflected somewhere on the 2017 side under,
Page 3.
Would there be an increase on the asset side?
Yeah, if you go to, if you want to see that on your cash flow statement, it's on page 10. Page 10 at the very bottom, it says changes in fixed assets on note 2. And down at the bottom, construction in progress, you see a deletion of 1.9 million, almost $2 million. And it picks back up under the water distribution system under additions. You see it?
Water distribution said that 2.007 or?
Yes, that's picking up some minor stuff plus the 1.9 million.
Okay.
Shifted over to the water system distribution system.
Okay.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Thank you again, Tom. Excellent work. Oh, yes, I'd like to entertain a motion to accept those reports, audit reports.
Make a motion to accept the audit reports.
You did well, second.
Second.
Have a motion second to accept.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Thank you. On the agenda, it's number 5, City Council appointment of vacant council position. I believe we will step into executive session and take care of this business. We have to vote on that? Sorry, yes. So with motion, we will
Make a motion, we go to executive session.
motion second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. You will- The good news is you have brand new seats to sit in while we're we'd like to announce the candidates for this position before we go into that session is make sure we have the direct Wayne Robb, Josh Niles, Laura Rice, Ralph Meeker, and Mr. Jim Newcomb. Or those are the candidates that seek this position. You're up. Where are you inside of the trampoline?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. It's like the old play place at McDonald's. The kids go play, you go. You've been on tax sale. You've been booked till September.
The only ones that's any good, all the way to the end.
That's where I've been tracking vehicles.
Anybody, now, Carnahan owns property. When you turn on Paxson, you got Carnahan Road. He owns that house right there. Run down the shack. We used to use that as a train. They go in to shoot air guns at each other. House sales.
Yeah, Keith and well, I guess it goes back. They've had pigs out there trapping them. Yeah, they're good. That day I drove by there's no boy. I'm pretty sure he's melting the plastic off the bunch of stolen money. Yeah, the man on the, I mean, big old black smoke.
Is it a house that sits off the road with a gate?
It's just right on the side of the road. Junk there, go right in the side.
Do what?
I was with dogs the other day, so I came out this morning, I had to pull the trailer forward.
You look like.
I thought it was going to try to street was going so fast, I didn't think it could stop. I'm gonna grab a road. Oh, man, we'll stop and pause.
No, I just put these files out in the car, so I'll let them finish them up and I'll leave.
Yeah, that's the characters. We went out there and called Calvin Foley, trespassing in the house. And I stopped at that one. They met me at the gate. What do you want? I said, I'm right there. Warning. Ran everybody. They all.
Oh, my.
Last night, I had my lieutenant and chief come out there back. I've been out there before, I had plenty of cups, you know.
Blistering cold, wind blowing, and, so we put them down, we took them to this house, just right back down the road. They're on the south side, they had a house that shot, they took them there and they cleaned them. I think we fed there, just got it. Two boys, I told them, I said,
Probably because of the electric fire at elementary, right after Christmas, right after New Year's.
So they shot them and loaded them up. They got clean. I was just here catching them. Y'all didn't learn how to clean them. So we loaded them up. I don't know how long it was. One of them made it took 3 of them. I wouldn't so
Out there on Abbott Road. He goes out there and punks him with his way. Yep. 22 magazines. I've only met Levi.
I got some people who
From 71 or
it's right there.
Smoke right?
It's gonna be in between 71 and 09. So there's a shop back the road, there's a shop there, it snakes all the way back. Parallel with 71, it comes out, it's cut off right there. You'll low ride and cut off. And there's right there, and that's Levi. Because it's right back there.
We're gonna get parties, people coming out there, the batteries, whales.
My whole crap running off is a car battery, and I keep in a solar panel, keeps my car battery charged.
Now, the batteries with tracking devices. So when people come out and stick it, pull it up and see exactly where they are.
So how do you work? You put the track
I have no idea. Well, I'll take it back. It's built to the battery. You never know it's there.
When I got school, I went to work at University of somewhere. Forestry research at a place called Field Business. It was actually a place where they had taken
Japanese.
well, they Italians. They put them out there in camp. Well, when they left, the college took over this property and they started doing research and stuff on it. We were out there doing some research on trees one day in the helicopter. And we just kept going and doing what was done, kept going around, and he said, no, what's that? And he came out there and he said, we started talking to him. Explained who we were and what we were doing. He said, well, have you seen anybody out there? We know of. He said, well, or transporting somebody taking out of a semi or something, that's when they're forced. I don't know what happened. The helicopter was getting that signal. He's leaving with me. Weird, my buddy, man, what'd you do now? I remember, that was before the cell phones, you know, and he was like, until the profession was going on. I said, I wouldn't leave. Let's wait for somebody to contact us, because if we leave, somebody's gonna think we're excited about pretty good drive.
I tell you what, probably not taking it back.
They're trying to cover their losses there.
Just how important it is.
She's 24 years.
So that's your wife.
He always called and asked me questions.
I wasn't there. She did everywhere in the world. Come all back in. She decided. He got neighbors on those. I got no job there. Hey, did you ever? Look. Look. I'm looking for
For the tractor.
Start up over.
I heard
You're going down my house over there. In fact, if you don't get out there and get it right, they go up to the back of that, kind of look over. Sue had a buddy, started down there, there was two of them this afternoon. Around across the fire break, waiting before she got to the outbuilding. That's Chris's. Chris, he couldn't be peace. And just come in.
You got us he's traveling all the time before, right?
I felt bad putting my boot here, so I put my
You gotta be careful.
Hey, listen, I've heard of make sure the right line.
No, you know, I haven't heard them go. They're not making any noise in the last year. Laying out in the country. You said this is maybe his last. Yeah. I sure call him if I got a cow.
He went
We got the cows coming up out of the shack there, getting our animals. Yeah, I'm good. Animals wild over so far he's lost the calves, I lost there. We were talking. Anyway, that was 2 or 3 years ago. I haven't heard of many this year. I saw 2 going across the interstate. There's no there somewhere. Oh, is that your new
This is the brown
there is this time of year pups.
Don't have a second.
We have a fixed rate. It'll work. He lives again, he checks. The check takes
Watch out for your feet. Watch out for your
Hoping tomorrow. See what happens. You get to the office, anything can happen. You got a set of plans, and then you get to the office, and all of a sudden, that's, I guess I'll get up there today.
It's fully auto.
Well, these, Utah's got a corral where they got these creek feeders for feeding these cows. And, the pigs are stored inside the corral. Well, right next to it, they got a bunch of hay that they wrap in white plastic. And they got hot wire around that to keep the cows out. Well, that's the only place I can base it, because I can't paint with this cow in it. And it'll get in my trap, so I'm inside of that right next to the corral, and they'll run right in my trap when I set it. Working because it's not completely flat, the pigs like to jump. They like it, and they can see before they don't pass out the trap, and jump. So you gotta get out there first strong, they like. The sows don't jump too much. They should have got way out. I usually try to sneak up on the track and get the more.
Office wouldn't take as they go to eventually where to go and when the problem is not that.
Got some weird doors on this.
I would entertain a motion to come back into session for executive.
Make a motion to come back into session. Mayor.
Motion second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Thank you.
Unanimous.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. Before we make the motion, though, I want to say to the 5 people who put their names forward that, as you heard tonight, there's an opening on the Water Commission. There are other openings in the city. Rod Powell made reference to this a few months ago. There's a lot of ways to serve and help the city, and so
we've got 5 names and we can only pick one. We tried to get Tim Terry to quit so we could pick 2, but he wouldn't do it. So, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Ralph Meeker to fill the vacancy.
I'll second that motion.
Have a motion and a second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous?
Thank you. Reeker, congratulations or condolences. I'm not sure which are in order.
Thank you.
You'll soon find out. And I echo certainly what Councilman McDaniel said. You folks have shown up to most of the meetings. We appreciate that, and there are other ways to serve for sure. So please, Mr. Bailey left, I believe. So if you're interested in that position, I would encourage you to contact John Bailey for sure. Talk to him about that, because that is they do that within the commission themselves. There's going to be others coming up, I'm sure, parks commissions and things like that too. So thank you for being here.
And also, if you would visit,
Mr. Reeker, plug in my ear is to come in and visit with Ms. Briley, who is our HR lady, for that's all that goes with being part of the
you will
council.
become an employee.
And we'll swear at you later. I mean, swear you in later. All right, moving on. Number 6, I believe it is, finance ordinance to repeal and replace ordinance 18-07, city clerk treasurer salary.
Cut it.
I was just wondering, Mike, does this always have to be an ordinance, or I mean, can we just say that it's, you know, the wages or the salary's always reflected, you know, ongoing?
Well, I think right now we have an ordinance in place, and you can only change the ordinance with an ordinance. Now, you can just repeal all ordinances and do it by resolution and handle it that way if you want to, but you have to address the existing ordinance that currently exists in 1807.
The state law, the city clerk treasurer's salary is so anytime it changes. And I greatly appreciate y'all changing it in this budget.
Right,
It
I was
just
just
has to
thinking
be-
that, you know, I mean, like, we'd have to do this every time we,
Yes,
you know,
anytime it changes.
give you know, an increase. I'm just thinking if there was a way that we could just.
Or decrease.
No, you can't do that. Not in my term.
Does the statute say that the pay has to be in the ordinance,
Yes.
or just the,
It has to be an ordinance. And I teach us
okay,
She's special.
that.
is it the same way for everybody, same way for everybody else?
Nope, just the clerk
Just the
treasurer. And
clerk.
I guess it's because treasurers probably
She's
raise
special.
their own salaries at some point. I'm not sure.
I think that happened in Hartford.
Yeah, so I guess they said, no.
So they couldn't
Become
afford to
accountable.
pay me, and the clerk got a huge raise, and
Yes.
the rest of the.
Ouch.
Yes. But again, I do appreciate it. It just has to be set by ordinance anytime.
I'll make a motion to adopt this ordinance.
Do you want to do 3
By
readings?
title only?
Put it on first reading by title only?
Yes.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Vice Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous. An ordinance repealing and replacing ordinance number 18-07 and amending ordinance number 16-09 establishing the salary and regulating expected work hours and benefits for the elected city clerk treasurer for the city of Greenwood, declaring an emergency and declaring.
Make a motion to suspend the rules and waive the second, third reading.
Second.
Motion and second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Ms. Terry? Unanimous.
Make a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Second.
Motion and second to adopt.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Make a motion to adopt the emergency clause.
Second.
Motion and second to adopt emergency clause.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous, and thank you.
Thank you. Number 7 is mayor/finance, I guess. Tom, you want to address this for us?
Sure. Back in 2017, donations were collected on behalf of Fred Kinslow, and it was earmarked to be used for parks and parks-related improvements. It was funded solely by the donations designated for the purpose. Back in 2017, however, a restricted account was not established virtually under the general fund. So the monies that were collected, which right now total $2,530, $2,530, are sitting in the general fund, and now they're looking to be spent to the tune of about, I think, up to $1,500 right now for some benches or a bench or something to be put in a park bench, in honor of Fred Kinslow in his name. And the monies are not budgeted, but they are there, and the only way to accommodate this so that the monies can flow from year to year, and if anybody gives more money to it, it'll go back into this fund, is to use this resolution, which is to set up a Fred Kinslow Memorial Fund. It is virtual account under the general as restricted. It will fall under the general fund, but it will allow the bank account to be segregated from the general fund source. And that's what this is establishing. The account number will be 11150, and it'll be reported as such.
Make a motion to adopt this resolution.
I'll second it.
Motion and second to adopt.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous.
Thank you, council. I want to make a quick statement to the public. This account was set up again after shortly after my father passed away, and we don't expect more funds to come in, but if they do, that'll be okay too. We're going to place, with Parks Commission and Department's permission, we'll be placing I call it the Fred Flintstone, pardon the pun. I think you would like that picnic table that's completely stone. We've already got a couple of those in Bell Park, and we'll be pouring a slab there. It'll be residing right beside the gazebo that was placed there in honor of my mom and dad to begin with. So appreciate all the donations that came in, and just continued support for that. So thank you, council. Number 8 is the excuse me, Boys and Girls Club contract. Mr. Mandy.
I've worked with Tom on this. This is basically something that Tom has put together. I just kind of tweaked it a little bit. But we've met about this a couple of times, and we're doing this one by ordinance, whereas we didn't do the others by ordinance because of the amount of the money that we're spending. We're waiving competitive bidding as part of the ordinance, and I would request that this ordinance be placed on first reading by title only.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous. An ordinance authorizing the contract for additional services with South Sebastian Youth Organization Incorporated, DBA, South Sebastian Boys and Girls Club, SSBGC, waiving competitive bidding, declaring an emergency.
I would request that you waive the second and third reading.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion second.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel? Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous.
I would request a motion to adopt.
Make that motion.
Second.
Motion second to adopt.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Daniel?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Mr. Terry?
Yes.
Unanimous.
I got a quick question.
Yes, sir.
I mean, before we go further, I was trying to read, but we're going a little fast. Did we put anything in here about us, well, I mentioned it earlier, about somebody representing the city on the board this week?
This is it's not in there, it's a contract for service. It's not, I don't think it was meant to be, that restrictive. We don't lease the property anymore, so I'm not sure you would have you need to put somebody on the board. You actually have 2 representatives now, basically there. It's not in this contract, because all this is doing is it's saying, we, the city, are contracting with the Boys Club to provide these essential services that the city would otherwise do.
Well, I trust you, I just knew we talked about it.
Well, Tom put some provisions in here for requesting an audit and so forth, so we're covered.
Right.
And,
Speaking of the lease So if we're not leasing it anymore, so if we're not leasing it as a park and adding it to the Greenwood Park and Rec system, A&P can no longer give them money, correct? So that's the only way A&P was legally allowed to give them money is because they were a park.
Well, you can give them money as an entity though, right? They do Greenwood Press.
We can give them money to advertise and promote, but we cannot give them money to replace a set of bleachers.
I agree with that.
So
That's their problem.
without, originally we leased it and it actually become part of the Greenwood Park and Rec system. So we could freely give them money that could be used for anything. They could buy baseballs, they could buy bleachers. So I don't see it in this contract, so at this point, we will not be able to legally give them money other than promote a ball tournament.
I would say that is correct.
Okay.
There's your answer, Tom. We were wondering why we used the lease.
We all talked about that and nobody could remember exactly.
Well,
There's, in surveying the other cities, most of them, almost all of them, we're the only ones that I found that actually leased property for that purpose. The other reason you would want to lease is that for competitive bidding purposes, if you wanted to bid it out to have somebody else do it, you could say, hey, we've got the property, we leased this property, and we want XYZ management company to come over there and run our youth recreational programs. I don't think with them owning that property, they're going to want another company coming in and running a youth program.
well, that's why the same
there. So.
originally in the original contract, we just turned around in that contract and turned around and just subleased it back to the people. But that wasn't competitive. We subleased it back to the group.
Right, you didn't need it if you were leasing the property, you were just engaging them to do a service.
I want the council to be aware that the A&P Commission would no longer be able to legally give them money like we've done in the past.
Other than advertise. Other than to advertise.
Other than that, we could advertise the ball tournament.
Right.
We could go out there and give them a billboard out on I-40 if that helped. But in the past, they don't want that. They've got more people coming than they have facilities for. We've given money to improve their facilities.
But that's not, I mean, I would be looking at A&P being told that A&P is to promote. And this money is to do the ball fields and to do the repair. If they come to you with capital needs, that's when they hit you up for more than the $51,000 and justify it. And that's what I've had a talk with them. Come up with your 3 to 5 year capital plan.
Yeah.
Tell me what you want to do, and then come to the city council in this contract and justify what you need, not in the A&P side. And they're not going to get enough from the A&P to
They
do
haven't
as
got
much
much.
justice as they would want.
They've not got much. I mean, we did go out and put, A&P Commission did put a covered deal over their bleachers.
That's advertising and promoting.
That is not advertising promoting.
You've never been to a softball field or baseball tournament.
What's that?
Then you've never been to a baseball or softball tournament. Because when I go, say, we're gonna go over here to Salisaw to McGee Creek Park, oh, their dugouts are terrible, they got no bleachers, we gotta bring this, I'm not going. But you can say, we got brand new dugouts, brand new bleachers, hey, let's go down there and play.
Well, unless they know it's from here, how is that advertising promoted?
Well, I mean, just the fact that there's renovations, that word gets out,
Promoting it.
and you can promote that you've got brand new facilities, that's a huge deal. And
That's a pretty big stretch. I mean,
That's a
That's
board
a-
promotion, not a city of Greenwood promotion.
But to bring people to the city of Greenwood, and that's what the whole deal is, APs, for there to promote the city and get you to spend tax dollars at McDonald's.
I really think that the argument is a shift from A&P to
To the
this
city.
contract.
Sure, oh, yeah.
That's all it is.
I agree, but I
see it
can-
as a big stumbling.
I can guarantee we've got brand new ball fields and put new dirt down, this new type of dirt, we turfed the fields and promoted the new facility. Sure, you can call it advertising and promotion to get people to come down.
I do know that what is fixing to stop is, you know, they use this money to kind of run their program for $51,000. And they struggle just mowing the grass and having stuff for kids. They talked to AP about buying two sets of bleachers every year. Well, won't happen now.
I have a grant request actually, not today.
You have that grant
For
request.
April.
So that will be an illegal appropriation. So we will just.
Why would it be illegal?
Because when we pass this ordinance, not declaring it a park,
Right?
a city of Greenwood park, that will not be to advertise and promote. But if
I
it's a
just gave
park.
you the argument for advertising.
Yeah, that's a kind of a weak legal argument, I think. I don't know, that's kind of a stretch.
I don't
Well,
see
where does the
advertising and promoting beforehand,
No.
frankly?
Oh,
It's the exact same theory I just gave you. Y'all have never been to any kind of ballpark, trust me.
I've been to a bunch,
If the
but I-
facilities are nice, we're gonna go play there. Everybody wants to go to Conway and play at Dave Warren
Someone-
Park, because they're awesome facilities.
All right, Mike, what do you think? We go to court, and we say, the AFP commission.
Well, be careful, you can still go to court for the fund we've already sent out there.
And we bought,
Why are we talking about this?
and we bought some bathroom equipment, and we make the argument, we're advertising.
Bathrooms are a big deal.
I might put on my bleachers, provided by the city of Greenwood.
Right.
Yeah, if you did that,
I think
you'd
that's
get closer.
We think we're sound, we can buy them bleachers and we'll just.
I can make that argument.
Or your
That's what it says, over the field of dreams,
Or your-
funding
or
for
your
this
sign
fence
on the
for the
cover.
AFP commission.
Yeah, where your sign on the cover, over the.
You gotta put the name on
Or your toilet.
I don't
Well, I'm
know.
not saying AFP needs to do that, give them money, I'm just saying, that's exactly what that money's for, to upgrade, I mean, that would be, I can see that as promoting and advertising, just to upgrade
Upgrading their
facilities.
facilities would
Yes.
be promotion and advertising.
Because I can tell you this, the reason they don't get more people down here is because of the conditions and stuff out there, that's what they, you know,
with the proper signage, it would work.
Well, so we purchased some bleachers, and they tag it, provided by the Greenwood Advertising Promotion
Absolutely.
Commission, which we required anyway.
right.
We've always required that anyway.
Now, that may still be a stretch law, but it will.
As long as the council's fine with it, we got this opinion from the from our city attorney, we'll give them money.
Now, I agree also that 51,000 should go to O&M, and that would be part of it, but their salaries, their.
I would rather
gas,
see your
their-
AFP money buy a billboard out on 71 highway that says the Boys and Girls Club is that way.
Well, that's not really promoting, the advertising and promotion for a ball tournament, get mainly word of mouth and websites. It's like everybody can find.
Tim to talk about a radio.
And we do offer,
I do too.
we offer anybody that we give grants to, we have an electronic billboard, and they have, we buy it yearly, so we put all kinds of stuff on it.
But mainly all baseball, softball, basketball tournaments are all online, Facebook, whatever. There's a,
Although there is a conversation where the thing actually works or not, and then you get into fog, and fog says it doesn't work. And I'm starting to believe it's over for us.
Talking about billboard.
Yeah, the electronic billboard is not doing what it should do.
talking about that old orange thing?
No, you're talking about
No,
the enforcement of time period on
when
the,
they,
we're changing on the
every
interstate.
7 minutes it changes, and
They've actually proved it to us by their turnout in Christmas, at the Christmas lights.
You trying to light it together, going up Rye Hill there?
Yeah.
And you see there's 3 of them out there shaking their head, yes, it does.
That would work, yeah.
but that's not electronic.
Right, it just stays.
Right,
in
yeah.
It's our electronic one that does not work.
What payroll?
Where was it at?
It's all over
All
Fort
over.
Smith.
There's a,
One's by the airport.
One's on a
Oregon
board,
is
road,
over.
Greenwood, everybody.
business, they function, they don't.
I never ever saw anything about patrol lights on any sign in Fort Smith except the one going up Rye Hill.
They're about-
One thing that's on that side right now.
Yeah, there's always something about who's playing the casino.
The one by the airport,
I've driven by them, I can't tell you anything.
Yeah, that's it.
you gotta go to the
Player of the week at South Side or North Side. I go by every day.
Okay, so the.
I agree with Tim, though, I think if you do have the amenities, usually those get spread around, people's word of mouth,
Right, right,
that's a place to
all
go
over.
play. You know, yeah.
Anyway, where we at on this ordinance?
Need a motion for the ordinance.
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion second for emergency clause.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Powell?
Yes.
Darren?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, that can be, well, that can be the AMP's prerogative, once that comes down, how they want to, that's what they do, they give money out. So, but I'm just saying, I would argue in court that that's ever.
I think I've got direction from the council, and I'll pass it on to the A&P commission. We can buy them stuff.
Now, then again, there's that can of worms you open up with the boys club and their soapbox derby, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that's the line you cross when you officially say I'm buying you stuff, and everybody's wanting to buy some stuff. I mean, I can tell you that my travel softball team is going, I'd like for y'all to buy me some uniforms, we'll call ourselves the Greenwood Kinslows. And we're gonna go all over the country playing softball like League of Their Own deal, and that's promote the town.
We win a lot of games.
Yeah, we would.
If we got a baseball team with a banner on the dugout, we need money
Right.
to sponsor that banner.
Well, it sounds like an argument you can make to A&B Commission. Traditionally, they haven't got into individual teams.
Somebody, I thought somebody approached them early on in A&D about something like that, McAllister, or he might have been on top of the commission or whatever at some point.
He's still the chair.
Yeah, it seemed like they shot down somebody just to open up, so a can of worms would be opened up for that kind of deal. But I love throwing back in Greenwood, I go places. We're not talking about trash.
Is that really promoting the way we want to?
It works.
All right, moving on, number 9 is the area agency on aging contract.
And this contract is just the renewal of the same contract as you got last year, so this will probably, ordinance, you just need a motion to.
Make a motion.
Second. A motion second to adopt the resolution, or not a resolution, contract.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes.
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 Number 10 is, I'm sorry, thank you. Number 10 is SRCA.
I need to clear it.
Make a motion, we accept that contract.
Second.
Again, same as before, correct?
Well, it's the same as before, but on the copy that I prepared, you didn't have any blanks on there, so.
Tyler Curley shall be,
What is it?
blanks, maximum of.
Yeah, Tom, did you want to?
As far as.
We had a dollar amount in there, didn't we?
This is what
Well,
Alicia
as
said.
far as additionally, the city fiscal year 2019, the city of Greenwood agrees to pay building and property insurance. You're required to do that by your lease with Farmers Bank. And before you had a dollar amount in there, $5,500, I think it was. Well, we paid $4,700 because we got a good deal with our insurance. You don't need a dollar amount in there. We're obligated to pay the building and property insurance. That's all you really need to say. You don't have to put a dollar amount in there. So it should just say building and property insurance for the Greenwood City Senior Activities Center. The only thing that I was thinking is that, as far as what kind of coverage, whether the deductibles or what it should be, would be either have to be spelled out in the contract or it's up to us. We can do minimum coverage if we wanted to. Bottom line is we have to have some sort of building and property insurance.
If we're purchasing it as a city, I think that's our discretion, and what type of coverage is
Exactly.
that you want
So
to carry.
I don't think we need to spell it out right there for the service contract, for being able to provide services to them, or them providing services for the seniors. Most of what's in here would have been originally spelled out by the contract with Farmers Bank, which expires, by the way, at the end of this year. So we have to be thinking about that contract as well for that senior center. Because the senior center, the contract with Farmers Bank says that you're going to pay all maintenance and repairs, no matter, it doesn't exclude capital items. If they wanted us to put a new roof on that building, we would be required to put a new roof on that
Who
building.
does that?
And this says and maintenance on it, didn't used to say that.
We did put a new roof on it.
Provide insurance and maintenance, it says. It's kind of open-ended. Right after the last blank on the front, it says the city of Greenwood agrees to provide insurance and maintenance. I don't remember it saying that.
Oh, well,
Did it?
that, the maintenance part is spelled out in the contract with,
That's close sentence would be
Farmers Bank.
removed.
Air conditioner goes out.
And Farmers Bank's contract, as we found out, says, yes, you are going to replace that, and we did. Now, we budgeted $2,500 for maintenance, routine maintenance items for the senior center. But, like I said, your contract, push comes to shove with Farmers Bank, is you're doing all maintenance out there.
And that contract ends December 31st.
But that's always,
January of 2020.
I think that's always a point to make with the senior citizens, is that our obligation is really more than 15,000. It's, you know,
Are you sure?
it's the,
Exactly.
maintenance
This
that we
15,000
perform.
is just for their activity program, running their activities.
We still do the property insurance on there, we do maintenance, repairs and stuff, so it goes above the 15,000 for the city.
I think we got leverage in the year. They're not gonna put all those old people out on the street.
Yeah.
We might can get some capital improvements, get out of the capital part of it.
Well, the bottom line is if you abandon that and you go out and get another building and have them move over, that building goes back to Farmers Bank. So we put a new roof on it, we're actually giving them, that's really their responsibility for a capital item. I think we need to distinguish between routine maintenance and capital
Hold
items.
that argument until December.
I will.
The roof on there is fairly new, we've already been done that.
So should we then just eliminate the two blanks and just say that we will pay for our building and property insurance for the Greenwood Activity Center, period?
Period, yes.
Hear that?
Yes.
Do it.
We will pay for the development,
Greenwood
period.
Center, Senior Center.
That will
Activities
cover
Center.
Chevy, period. Cool.
You're scratching up to,
Up to a maximum of, strike all that. Top of coverage, strike all that.
Top of coverage.
Yeah.
And then the city of Greenwood agrees to provide insurance. Do we want to include and maintenance?
No,
He's got the whole thing.
that blocked the whole thing.
Okay, good.
And then on the second page of the contract, we had a breakdown of how much we pay for each meal and hand-delivered meal, and we never did check and confirm that. I'm sure the cost of those fluctuated over time, so, there's blanks there.
Well, actually-
I don't think we need to even have those in there.
Actually, I don't think they even do home delivered meals anymore. Lisa's, you're saying, yeah, they do? Yeah. Oh, they do?
So just get rid of the
So
blanks,
just get
basically.
rid of the blanks, and just say, these meals, this is what you're gonna provide, this is our
List,
expectation
basically.
of the services that we're paying $15,000.
I'm sorry, it's the transportation.
They don't
I
transport
don't think
people.
they transport
Right.
folks. Is that
they
right?
don't transport, they stop that.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
So we need to take
The
some
delivery
transportation.
man, sure.
I believe Lisa told me that.
Where's the transportation part?
It's on the second.
Van ride to destination, yeah, I don't
That's
think
on the second page.
second page, about the middle way.
Okay, so the second page is Exhibit A.
Yes.
It's the services.
And then again, down at the next to last paragraph, I just think it needs to say pay property insurance, period.
Yeah, just get rid of the blank. You don't want to include the words for the Greenwood Senior Activity Center after it.
Yes.
Do you include it?
Yeah,
Just get rid of the blank.
Just get rid of them.
just get rid of the blank.
Okay.
So all blanks on the second page are gone.
Right.
All blanks, and in the section about transportation, did you say?
The entire section on transportation.
Remove that.
Yeah.
Stay on that back page before we move, I got a question. The sentence starts with additionally for the fiscal year, yada, yada. Do we want to slide that on out to January 31st, 2020? That's when the contract with the bank ends? Or does it matter?
Good point.
Well, I'm not sure it needs to be on the second page because it's in the contract on the first page. Because it's really not a service that they're providing, and this is just basically spelling out what services we anticipate the senior center is going to do with our $15,000. So additionally, that property insurance one's covered in the contract page, which is the first page.
All
We're
right,
talking about. So you could probably just remove that.
all right, even better.
So remove what?
Yeah, additionally, with the property insurance, it's redundant, and it's not really a service that they're providing with our money.
I agree.
It is done.
You know, there's gonna be a month there where the January 2020, where I don't know whether our insurance is a yearly renewal or how that works, but I'm just taking worst case scenario, in case at the end of January
It's
2020.
June. It's June
Okay,
is when we pay the insurances.
all right.
So,
That's a 6-month deal or a year?
no, it's a year.
Okay,
but it's June to June.
never mind.
We should have a new contract negotiated by the first of the year anyway, and we're gonna negotiate one
With the bank.
with the bank.
And Tammy's got that on the calendar.
But officially, it's up by December 2020.
It's up at the end of
19th.
this year, January 2020, I think.
Oh.
is-
January 31st.
January 1st.
Yeah.
Okay. What do we do here?
Well, there was a motion in a second.
Third model.
Third,
Do you want to restate your motion?
third.
You did.
Long time ago.
All right, I make a motion that we adopt the contract with all of those changes.
You mean you amend your motion?
I second it.
I amend
Okay,
my
hold on.
motion,
Which contract?
the SRCA contract,
There you go. To include those.
with the changes to remove all of the blanks,
Well,
as discussed.
I second it.
well, Mr. Brown already seconded.
Oh, okay. I'm losing track.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Who's not? Got a motion in a second. You're not.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes.
Tim Terry?
Yes.
Ms. Terry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. That is, as far as I know, is the last item on the agenda. Other than, going back up to department reports and questions from council. I know Chief Bryan is absent this evening. Jessica's sick, and I think a birthday for his son, one of his sons. He had all kinds of excuses. He's not here tonight. But some of the departments are here, so. Any questions from council? Department heads? Nope. Council Moore?
I do not want to talk about stoplights.
Can I mention about the budgets that you have up there?
Oh, yes. No, go ahead.
Because it's building.
Yes.
You all have copies of the approved 2019 budget in a tab format in front of you. I would ask that, if possible, you leave those, and every council meeting when you come, they will be at your place, so that you can refer to them if there's an issue that comes up, if it's a money issue, you want to look at the budget to see if it's in the budget or not. And what we would do is we would provide you a non-bound copy if you would rather have one of those to take home with you. That way, we can put those out for other commission meetings too, when they need to be discussing things, and they can go, all of the entire city's budget is there. So that way we can keep them at the places for every council
Is it in the
meeting.
email and all that?
Yes, I can send it
We can email you that.
I'd rather do that than send it out with Google.
PDF.
Saving trees, that's what I am. I'm picking on X, Y,
Tree
Z.
hugger.
Y'all want to put iPads back in there?
That's a great suggestion, Tom.
No. Yeah.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I did have a question for Nathan, yes. You know, the Christmas tree is out there, you know, and,
It's growing. It's taking root.
but I heard that, you know, one thing is, you know, we just don't have a place to store it or something, you know, or has that been resolved, or do we need storage?
We are, have we received it yet? We have ordered through the street department
Connex building,
sorry,
that's container.
a container, as in like the one we have at Bell Park. And we're gonna place it behind the privacy fence back here, and that is gonna be the storage for that Christmas, I don't need to speak for you.
I'm gonna defer to you anyway.
For the Christmas tree and anything else that we can get in there Christmas decoration wise. So we really did not have a place to put it. I joked that it was just.
We bought a container or we leased one?
We're buying one.
A to B.
I got a question. You saying buying containers, right, back to my memory. What happened to all that building out there at Ridgecrest?
What happened
I
to it?
mean, there's a bunch of junk out there.
If,
And I
I
stress
mean,
the word junk.
I visited with the chief. Does that answer your question, sir? Okay. I visited with the chief about it. They've got a unit there, if you will, a section, thank you, David.
Well, I know Parks has part of that.
Parks has one, and I guess there's three, yes? Who else has got?
There's only 3 of them.
Yeah, but I've only mentioned the Parks and the police. Who else?
Street.
Street, you do have it, okay. So, I don't know how full it is, I've not been out there, I know,
Well, I mean, I know we've had this discussion, so, I mean,
I mean,
last
Parks-
time I was out there, there was a bunch of junk.
Parks is full with decorations and I don't know, and
At one time, there was a bunch of air conditioners out there from the street, I believe,
Oh.
when Simon was still here, I don't know if all that stuff's still there.
yeah, that's going on.
There's some junk in there, but most of it, we put the mowers and stuff in there in the winter time, then we put the snow plows and sanders in there. But there
So
are
there's probably some room, but it's not as
Well,
bad.
you got another
not enough for that tree.
We're about to clean ours out, but we're about to move our trailer into there and the UTV and our lawnmower.
Then don't we have a tractor to the storage container now too? The parks.
The Parks, I'm not
Isn't
sure.
that what the tractor y'all guys like in the storage container?
Out of Bell Park.
And,
Quality. That's quality.
well, in the Parks Department, I don't know if it's, I can't remember budget-wise where you guys are on the building. There are plans to build a facility in Bell Park, back in the back somewhere to house many things.
Yeah, it gets presented in April to commission.
Okay, so there is some,
Do we have any room out there to add on to that little establishment there in Richcrest?
not sideways at all. You'd be coming front, if you did, and I don't know how that
You
would
go
work.
to the north and I'll get the house down.
Easy.
Easy. I would recommend that we, as a city, do something about the looks of that facility.
Well, that's what I'm.
Okay, we need to upgrade, I mean,
if we build onto it, it's gonna look residential.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I mean, it just, I didn't know if there might be some room out there, because I know it's like just all gravel up to.
yeah, it's not a pretty,
I think the garage doors are like, not really savvy either, are they? I mean, just to be honest, I mean,
no, it doesn't look.
Exactly, that's what
It
I'm
doesn't
talking
look good.
They're just painted different colors. It would help if we just
Paint
painted
the
the
thing. We can look into it, add on to it, I don't know, I mean, there's a tree. Well, you couldn't come up right straight up front with all 3 bays, because one of them, the well, if you will, is right in front of one of them. Yes.
I know we had this discussion a long time ago about trying to do something with it and make it a little,
Yeah.
and I'll retract part of my junk stuff, because when I did go out there, there was a bunch of air conditioners and crap.
Yeah, I think a lot of this, I mean, I haven't done it personally in a while, but I think some of that's gone. So we do need to do something about dressing it up, for sure, painting it. And I'll get with,
Because we got a bunch of stuff just sitting around, whether, too, out here, I've noticed.
behind this fence.
Yeah, I mean, we just keep piling stuff
We
behind
built
the
a
fence.
building.
Well, that's the problem with the privacy fence, you tend, I mean,
You know what I'm saying, though, I mean, last time I was around here,
If you come across the bridge and you look over here, it looks pretty junky.
Could we build a metal building over here?
Didn't we?
Could we?
Didn't talk to planning.
I mean, is there room to build
that's,
a maintenance
probably.
facility?
Next to the fence.
Yeah, you could probably.
Well, there's room. There, you know, this,
We need to build a
Gotta be
something.
3
in a
foot
hole.
brick and yada, yada, yada.
these parts, it seems,
We
it's
got
close,
to
it's far, but behind
Gutter,
it.
bike lane.
Mr. Niles?
You can actually take those containers and you can put like 4 or 5 of them together. If you had a section where it's like out of sight, you can actually cut the middles of them out. And so you could actually have they're 8 by 40, so like 1,200 square foot if you had 4 of them. And the rough cost would be anywhere from $8,000 to $12,000 depending on where you got the container from. Be a lot cheaper than actually building a building.
Yeah, I've seen that happen too. So we can look into that, I mean,
I just,
yeah,
But I do agree with Lance that, I mean, we do need to be a good neighbor, you know, if the house out there on Ridgecrest, you know, I'm sure it's needing paint or needing, you know, the garage doors fixed, I mean, we need to, you know, if we're talking about
maintaining the senior citizens building and stuff. I think we need to,
Well,
you know.
If we're requiring other people to do it, we should be doing it.
Yes.
This sort of goes back to the discussion a year ago or so, when we asked for the, you know, like a report of stuff. I mean, that's kind of the point, is we need to take inventory of the stuff and what's being utilized and what's not being utilized. I mean, I get it, snowplows aren't gonna get used every month and that kind of deal, you know, but
They're doing a little better job.
we probably need to take inventory.
Yeah, and they're doing a little bit better job of it. I know they cleaned up some part of it over at the street department, and so it's been a slower process than it should be probably. And the fixed asset list is not necessarily what you're talking about, but that's part of it too. When we do have our audits, we have to go through that process.
No, I don't like our planning, I know everything can't be inside, but, you know, to Dennis's, you know, he's got some really nice stuff over there that has to sit outside, like the county over there, they've got that somewhat of a deal, they can at least put that equipment up underneath it when it's, you know, wintertime, because, you know, weather's a vicious thing and all that stuff. And I was just thinking out loud, it'd be nice if we had something that, I mean, because the dozers, the backhoes, and all that stuff that, you know, just sit out in the weather.
I think you could even come off of where you park the machinery now. You could probably even come off the back of your building with something.
Because some of that stuff that I was saying outside of mine, as far as, you know, we've got a nice facility where, you know, you can put stuff under, I mean, it doesn't
Just even like a kind of a carport situation.
sort of, you know, I mean, like you see the one the county's got over there, they've got the big, it's just three sides, the whole front of it's open. We've got kind of a short one here, I think he's got sand and maybe some of that kind of stuff, and they put that little skid loader in there, but, you know, we got that track hoe, we got 2 or 3 backhoes, we got the bulldozer that just sits out there and just.
At one time, I think that was kind of not in the works, but in a dream.
Wasn't phase 2 of Michael's plans when we redid the building over there, on the outside, on the front, was to come back and add more on the back of that, or
It
not?
seemed like there was something.
I think there was some drawings.
There was an equipment shed that was kind of a phase 2, wasn't it?
I think so. Because Pat's there. You
Well,
got-
I mean,
Like Rob said, I mean, you come into town from the east side of town, come in, you look over there, you've got all this stuff.
It looks junky.
Well, and I wanted to clean, if you will, you know, the city owns a little bit of property on the other side of this creek, between the creek and the Farmers Bank side. I thought, well, that would be nice if that was cleared out, but there again, you don't want to clean that until you, because I know the greatest mayor in the world already did a cleanup job over there, and I'm trying to catch up with her.
I think if I could get her in as mayor again, I should have her plant trees down there.
Probably so.
I guess my whole thought process is, we get a lot of stuff that we hang on to for some period of time for auction stuff.
Right.
I mean, is there anything that says we can't have an auction once a quarter, you know what I'm saying, or something like that, to get rid of this stuff, because it's just sitting out there, the longer we keep it, the longer it sits out there, the less you're gonna get out of it
I
anyway.
think you have a list, would you prepare or appointed, Dennis?
yeah, but we're trying to get things kind of compiled.
You
Yes.
know, I mean, just, or it'd be nice if we had a place we could, because this is the main hub for the city, you know what I'm saying? Somebody drives around the city to pay the water bill, then you got, you know, luckily that dumpster is gonna get a fence.
By the way, yes it is, we've gone through 2 quotes, and the first one's gonna get it, so that's gonna be starting, I guess I could.
It's just thoughts.
Finally get your lights like you want them out there.
I did, yes, sir, I did. We quit asking our architects to do it ourselves. Have you seen it?
I heard.
Mayor, one last thing.
Yes, sir.
Lance had a good comment when he was talking about our water rates, you know, that we contracted with the James Ford. But they're, you know, said that it's in our contract, you know, it doesn't come up when they raise rates and stuff. I would like to see that when we do get a rate increase, that we make it known at a council meeting so it can be, you know, reported in our minutes.
Well, he's got to know about it.
Yeah, that was the point. I
He
would.
probably do if he do.
I do.
Oh, okay.
I would.
Yeah, they haven't told the mayor
I
yet.
wasn't aware of the last one. Now, I don't know, 14, because my term was, there was the 6-month term, and then I began full term, so it's possible that increase, I don't know, I haven't looked at the date.
So the world's greatest mayor didn't tell us.
Exactly. I think that's the point. I'm trying to make that pointing fingers.
She sure makes things look nice.
If she was notified, she would have been told, right? It's easy, it's very safe. But yes, if I become made aware of a rate increase, I will definitely make council aware of that. Absolutely.
We should have
And
had,
I want
if you think about it, because Mr. Bailey said, act like he was going to try to visit with him again for whatever, you might ask him if he'd maybe fill that in there too, about letting us know.
So, speaking of that, going to visit, I mean, Mayor, I don't know what we need to do on that, but I don't like the way that's going.
it's not going anywhere, to be honest with you, I don't
That's
think.
good.
And I asked him, we have their counter, I don't know what.
I mean, they've talked about taking Doc Burgess out there to talk to him. I mean, we're kind of Republican, Democrats, it feels like we need to all get in a room and.
I agree.
try to come to some.
I think the whole county,
It seems completely unreasonable.
Water Wastewater Commission, by the way, I'll just say, I think is doing a good job of what they're doing, and I commend them on what they're doing with looking at not the rate increase, but those fees and that sort of thing. They're kind of, in my opinion, for whatever it's worth, they're kind of looking, opening their eyes a little bit to what the future holds, what we need to do, what we need to be looking at for infrastructure, and it's pretty plain that you can't wait 10 years to, nobody likes rate increases at all, but you can't wait 10 years to do it, because then you're looking at more, I mean, you're just, it's a tough thing to swallow when you're trying to rate that.
I mean,
The commission needs to get together with council needs to get with the commission, and it needs to be a joint effort.
I don't mean to say that I don't think the water commission is doing.
No, I didn't,
at
no.
all either. I don't want to leave that impression, but, and I understand that it's a business negotiation. But we're all friends and neighbors, and we all live together in Greenwood. And I don't understand why we can't.
Well, not everybody on the commission is from there.
I agree.
I mean, the board, I'm sorry, the James Board. Yeah. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, they're just not.
I mean, when we did the contract that we currently have,
Yep.
That was me and Wayne Stallings and, sat down and went, we're all live in the same community, we're all going to drink the same water. I mean, that's what's crazy to me about this deal is we're talking about buying the water rights so I can buy water from you. I mean, we're already your largest customer, we're going to buy the water from them. So, I don't see why this is such, now that was a very nasty deal between them and Fort Smith, and it was really expensive. We don't want to get into that, but, I don't know the answer to this, but what we're doing has been going on for several months, and we don't seem to be getting anywhere.
I agree. I
mean, I guess the idiots can tell you that there's problems, I don't have the solution, so I'm sorry. But, because that's not very helpful. So,
I don't know what the answer is either. I think there is more meetings to be had. I'm not.
We need to find out what our legal leg is on this whole water rights fiasco that I've been harped on since for the last 6 years about what the state says and how vague and all that. I mean, nobody can give you a solid answer on water rights.
That's true.
I mean, it's just a matter of, we'll just go start throwing pipe out there and then.
That's still kind of out there. Mr. Bell and I visited with Mr. Von Tumlin in Little Rock on this very subject, and he's pretty up on that, I think, when you say, Mike, and
I think
he has looked at us and said, there is something to being the first to put your pipe in. I mean, it's kind of like, really, you have all this, but yet first one to the backhoe wins.
We have water rights. We have water, we do the red.
You've got a 12-inch water line running down 71. I think the people that are purchasing the property will start.
You talking about ours?
Yeah.
If it was our 12-inch water line going down Highway 71, there's somebody purchasing that property.
Fort Smith got one coming this direction. On land they didn't buy from James Ford.
But that land will never be developed if we don't get the water and sewer thing sorted out.
That's right.
And we're
Everything's hinging on,
a couple of years into that deal.
Well, it's not, the overall dollar value is not that, it's not an egregious value, it's just the per acre number is horrible. And like you said earlier, the future purchase is gonna be more and more, and so, yeah, you wanna start low or don't pay at all, just put water in the ground, whichever.
I think quickly, if not sooner, we make a counter offer to what they did, they did, and see how that goes, and you don't know, it may just work itself out, and then it might not. So,
That'd be my first effort, would be a
well,
counter offer.
I would suggest, and I'm thinking if we can do this one, it's not a secret, you know board members out there, you visit with them, right, and they can, you can do that on your own, you guys.
Do that, I would highly encourage you to adopt Burgess.
Yeah.
I think that's a great.
A community meeting anyway, tacos.
That seems to work well. I tried
Who
to
is
best.
on the board out there, do we know?
Shirley Walters.
Shirley
Two boys from over at Greenwood, there's a representative from Walter.
Yep. I don't, there was 2 or 3 I did not know and still don't know. A couple of them we looked all the way.
I've already heard all of these, though.
Not to their, yeah, we made an offer, they countered with it, said 80,000. We have not said anything back to them other than, no, we've not said, we'll give you, and I mean, whole number, not per acre. We've not said, hey, it'll be $25,000.
I would call Honda a little bit on speakerphone,
Who?
Donnie Finney.
Donnie sits there, and I'm not, again, he can speak for himself, but Donnie tells them in these meetings that, in Donnie's fashion, who's not outspoken, but in Donnie fashion, he will say, we don't need to do that. We don't need to run under the highway. We're not in the business of doing this. This is where we do, and and they kind of agree, and then they don't agree, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would say, let them have it, maybe not for free, but he would say, this is the way it should be. Greenwood gets that, we do this, we do our thing, and they do their thing. That's my opinion of what Donnie has said out there.
Ultimately, I'd start looking at the biggest lane people out here and just get rid of them, like we should have done in the first place, or pound, or whatever.
I will pursue, and you, I guess, we can talk to Dr. Burgess and see if he's willing to.
He's told me he's already got it.
Okay. Anything else from council?
No.
I meant to add about
Oh,
animal control.
yes, I have that note too, yep.
You want to just tell them?
No, go ahead.
I failed to add that on there, but animal control, the new officer will be starting Monday. His name is Dylan Thomas, graduated Greenwood in 2014. Currently lives in Mansfield and is working at the juvenile detention camp. So we'll have animal control. He'll need to be trained, but he'll be here anyway.
This will be a sworn police officer.
Well, we didn't put in the budget to be sworn, but at the very least, we hope that through working a little bit with him, see how his temperament is, and see if we can go the reserve route first. And then he's going to stay here, it's going to work out, we'll invest in him going to the academy.
Kind of ease it in.
Yes. And also, we lost Lee Cooper back to Logan County. He was getting up at 4:30 and getting home at 7. They actually started out 36,000, so he's going to get a $5,000 increase. That would take him, I think, 6 years to get to. If he would stay here, to get to that amount. So It's understandable, he didn't want to leave, but he was going to be in a position where he could, if he had to go home, he could swing by there or whatever. And wouldn't have to get up early and get home so late. And Mason Redding is going to the state police. He's been assigned to Pulaski County, and he'll be starting at the state police troop academy, I think, in March. So we have basically 2 openings for patrolman also. I think state police starts out 42 or something, so he's going to get $10,000 raise, I think. So we have the position posted and have the physical fitness test at the end of this month.
Thank you, Chief. I want to give, thank you, sir, update for Dennis. I guess that's okay. I'm speaking on your behalf. We've got 2 major projects in the works that everybody already knows about them, but the bids were let on Denver Street overlay. Forsgren won that bid. We were short $40,000-ish. We've already taken care of that. That's within our budget. We're good to go on it. The letter that I received said that project would begin within 2 to 3 weeks. That's been a week ago, so we should be looking for Forsgren to be showing up on Denver Street to do some milling, I'm assuming first. And then it said to be completed by mid-summer, so. Street obviously, and the fire department and the police department will be aware of that, and we'll just have to get with them and see about road closings and
How far down Denver?
all the way to 71 from
Down
10.
Sadler's property all the way to Greenwood Tire?
Correct. Yes. And the stoplight is, go ahead and tell them about that, Dennis, if you would.
We're gonna upgrade the signal light there at 71, and I called Greg Biswell, that's providing the equipment, and I put a fire under him, trying to get it as soon as we possibly can, because they are gonna take the loop up, so we'll have to have that installed.
They're having to take the loop up to overlay, correct, to do the correct milling.
They're gonna mill
So
it
we'll
up.
redo it.
I do appreciate you calling it a signal light, Dennis, not a stoplight.
That's right.
Slow them down, Mike.
And, 10 light.
Do we have an adjustment for 3 o'clock in the morning?
I don't know. Thank you. And then the sidewalk project that we've been approved, you all know about that, $394,000 grant on that. That came back hired also. We're okay there. Good to go. Got it covered. Don't know when that's going to start. We have brought in Jeremy Shores, who did the initial plan on that project, and said, Jeremy, here's, Sonny and Dennis and I said, here it is. Please keep us on task and on time and deadlines for all these things. So there's a process RDOT provides for this TAP grant that says you have to have they want those plans turned in 30% at a time, and so they can mull them over and see what's going on. The gaining of easements, if you will, right-of-ways are going to be on us, but we're putting that on Jeremy, basically to let him guide us through that process. So, anyway.
And Jeremy works with who? For who?
Hawkins and Weir.
Hawkins and Weir?
Yeah.
So Hawkins and Weir will be requiring the easements, and then they'll be managing the project?
They're going to manage the project for sure. Getting the easements may be a joint effort between them and us. We've not really settled on that yet. So,
I received a phone call from him today.
Jeremy?
Yeah.
Okay. On that?
I'm assuming that's what it is. I called back and he was in a meeting, but I'm
Okay.
assuming that's.
Probably. We just said here, we want you to.
Why are we sharing it? Why don't we just let him just handle it?
Well, when I say share, we may approach some private from business. Some of that's going in and out of that easement. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's his. But if we need to, we'll. Sonny and I actually went out prior, make sure everybody's aware of this. We went out prior to the approval of the grant and visited with a couple of those property owners and got no objection or no negative feedback. We can't do that now. We can't even do that now. So it has to be up to him anyway.
He'll be dealing with the legal descriptions and refiling plans.
Between him and Mike, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's gonna cause you work too?
I would imagine so, yeah.
And we just had a fight,
The letter I received said 2 to 3 weeks they will begin, and that was a week ago, so could be another week, could be another 2 weeks. But now that, they're not gonna show up just to start laying asphalt, because it's weather permitting, and they're gonna mill, and I guess do surveys. I mean, it's not a widening process, it's a project, but it's,
I'm just curious.
but it is, and it is fortunate, we were pleased. We didn't have that, I mean, the highway department made that decision. I think we'll be good hands.
We ever get a silt fence on Denver at the mud pile?
I have not seen one out there.
I hadn't looked in a while.
Ware Road, quickly too, is that's a combination between us and the county. We visited about this with, I don't think we have with council, but originally that was gonna cost, I think we budgeted $80,000 to partner with council or something like that. The county came back in and visited with us, and we've agreed that it makes sense to not do a complete
Rebuild.
pardon,
Rebuild.
now. They're gonna come in with a chip and seal type
And a fog seal.
and a seal to make it good for now. We don't want to do anything that we're gonna tear up with construction on other projects out there, so it makes sense. And so our part of that is now $15,000, and I'm sure by the county that that's not a $15,000 waste of money, that we're just gonna not, because what they're doing, what we will be doing with them is gonna be part of the final process, but it'll get better.
Does that include the alpha packaging property? I know we're having a significant issue.
Yes, that's the reason we're doing this Band-Aid instead of doing a full-blown,
Alpha packaging is going to certificate of that for.
oh, you're talking about the easement? That's a different, that's a water issue, water sewer issue.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not for the road.
That's what I'm trying to clarify.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's by alpha packaging, but it's not, this is not
What
part
do
of
we
it.
do, the Ware Road? What's wrong with Ware Road?
We are over, I'm just trying to keep them laughing.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch.
What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Ware Road,
Yeah.
it's horrible. It's tore up. And part of it's county, part of it's ours. We all voted to do this a couple of months ago.
I voted to do a lot of things. I don't know, remember.
We actually, you voted to do a complete overlay, and it was, we had prices, and we talked to the county, and their suggestion to us is not to do as complete an overlay as original. We're gonna back off and do a lesser, I don't know how to explain. Less expensive for sure.
You originally budgeted 75.
I'm sorry, I wasn't meaning like that.
That's
There's a lot.
coverage of that 80,000, now 126,000 is coming.
Yeah. Now, granted, from 10 Spur on our end is not as bad as on the other end.
Oh,
But on the other end, it's bad. It's rough. And hopefully you remember this, that we took down signs out there, and there is 18-wheeler traffic allowed there, because we got with the county on that, and they said, we don't even know why that was ever done that way. So one, in the middle of that road is a 18-wheeler repair shop, so nobody can tell me they weren't coming in there, because there's about 6 of them parked in that lot on any given day. So we removed both ends of that between us and the county, so that traffic is allowed. There was immediately, and I knew there would be, and I understand there was a couple of comments that why is that not allowed? The road is too narrow. Well, that road is probably one of the widest ones we've got in town, to be honest with you. But anyway, that's the process. We're still in partnership with them. It's just gonna be a lot less expensive at this time, than later on we'll come back and do it.
Is the repair shop in the city limits?
No,
Just outside.
just outside.
But it does make sense for our industrial park to allow.
And, thank you very much, we have an industrial park that we did, for years, we weren't allowing officially trailer trucks to enter. That makes no sense. Now, there's not much out there required, but if we were ever to get somebody interested in it, the first thing they would Alpha Packaging was obviously excited to know that they can now use that outlet legally.
They don't have a back door, they all clock in over there, right?
They go, now they can go the other way. There are.
Oh, you're talking about
Nice.
the leave out,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
the
yeah.
hidden plan.
Right, correct.
Gotcha.
So, anyway, that's, we don't have a date start date, do we, Dennis? We still don't have a start date on that, just, right?
No, not yet. Jim is gone, and he'll be back Wednesday.
Okay.
I was gonna visit with him today, and he was gone.
But it's a really good partnership. We're gonna do certain things, they're gonna haul material, we're gonna use our overlay machine, they're gonna use their roller, so it's a nice
Help
part.
our easement problem with Alpha Packaging, if we eliminate, if you grant us the easement, we'll improve the road and the drainage right in that area.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think-
It's pretty contentious right now.
Okay.
I thought they got settled, no?
That's the most important thing.
Well, there's
I
our,
just talked to their attorney this morning.
so there is municipal league involved in that?
Yeah.
Would that be making our, I'm sorry, I'm changing the subject a little bit, but our municipal league, so, I was gonna say self-defense. Defense program went from I know a former council last month went from 18,000 to 32,000 because of an open case. Would that have anything to do with that?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay. So, okay. Still trying to find out why they went up.
Is that it? So they jacked us up. Is it in our budget for this year?
Yes. Yes.
And we don't know why?
I did.
We don't know.
I've asked
They're getting, supposed to get back with
Mark, I spoke to Mark Hayes personally on it when we were in municipal league, and he said, I'll find out for you and everything. The initial answer I got from Lanny, what's his last name? Richmond said, an open case, possibly the reason, but I'm not aware of any open case.
I'm not aware of any either.
So they may have got us mixed up with Greenwood or something like that, or Greenland. The per capita, I mean, it does say that the per capita went from, I'm using numbers, $1.50 to $3.50, $2 to $3.50, which would explain the increase.
How are they determined per capita? Because
That's the
on our-
question.
because we're not getting paid anymore from the state. We're getting paid what it was 10 years ago, so municipally, you gotta get paid for what it was 10 years ago.
That's the reason I asked the question, and we didn't get the answer yet.
Now, here, next year when it goes up, I mean, it makes sense, but we will also get more reimbursement from the state. We should get a better formula from the county. We should be getting more money back from the county in sales tax. And there was an odd, I meant to ask you that. Do you mind answering the question?
Depends on the question.
So in our chart, I always look at our charts on, that you provide us. If you look at the county, the money to come back county, Mayor, I apologize for interrupting if I got you on.
No, you're fine.
You know, it's like, our city sales use tax was right on. But then you look at, and I'm looking at this, Tom, it was right on what it was last year.
Yeah.
But then you go to county,
Makes sense.
and there's like a 7% jump. So it's like the county redid their formula or something, and we're getting more money back from the county. Where the orange dot is. Of course, there's not enough data for a trend, but
5.1.
5.1%.
150 versus 143 the previous year. You know, a lot of people shopping in Greenwood.
Yeah, but our city sales use tax didn't go up. It was exactly what it was the following year.
It was slightly less, yeah.
Yeah, but in the county reimbursement was higher. It's like they've gone in and redone their formula,
Good.
which I think they've been screwing us on the formula.
Is this
Officially
on?
on the
Is this on?
Officially.
It was a lot worse.
It was egregious, I think.
It's egregious.
They need to
I have it right here.
have a
Poetry.
retraction.
Are we done with that? I got one more comment. Do we oversee we got a new, road entryway at the Domino's area? Were y'all on top of that, the new little?
State highway.
State highway.
Yeah, right. I just wondered if everything was good with that.
He found that.
I saw a guy throwing a little track hole deal, I'm like, oh, this guy just gonna put a culvert in on his own, or what we doing?
That was actually tile. wasn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was reported, the highway didn't even think, but some, am I right? Some guys from the highway department didn't think there was permitted. and then they kind of, he was.
Okay.
So,
And in that conversation, he said he put in to have all 10 spur overlays, so if you know anybody makes those decisions,
There.
it needs it bad.
yeah. Well, my promise is if we ever do take it back over, it'll be overlaid before we get it, so. We'll see.
So then they want to do it beforehand? Go ahead and do it now.
Yeah. I mean, he assured me, as in Mr. Bennett, that when we took it over, when, not if, when, did I say? That they will, it was a pretty big condition. I would remind the folks that are here, I know it's Mr. Nowell and man, what terrible names. Rob, thank you. I know Laura left, your desire to serve the city, and I would encourage you to continue that. There will be other positions open, as has been mentioned, so thank you for coming and being a part of this. And I would
We got
encourage-
that water wastewater position open.
Right, right. So, and that is within the commissions to do that themselves. So and I will recommend you to, I'll talk to Mr. Bailey about it. Like I said, he left before we had a chance to talk about it. But plenty of ways to serve for sure, as Mr. Dan knows, he's here every time. So, anything else from council? I think we've had a good productive meeting. Appreciate everybody's attention, and I cannot believe the press stayed through the whole thing. Thank you, Mr. Rooney. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
They're filibustering their own meeting. Yeah, what's not fair? So why are you? I'm sorry, I'm just very tired.
All this is there, and serve, whether it be, community groups, we're all better, we make things go forward. I think I'm just gonna tell the point, my career and my life.
Look at you get.
You're from. I'm working